Welcome to Last Time On, the watchcast for everyone who wants to watch all of this prestige television, but who has time for all of it? I'm Xhafer.
I'm Ben.
And we're watching Breaking Bad right now. And we rolled a 7 after watching the pilot, which means we're watching Season 2, Episode 1, with absolutely no context besides the pilot.
Yes. For everyone else, this is Season 2, Episode 1. For us, this is Episode 2, Meth Boogaloo.
So, I feel like if you thought I was going to be having a podcast where the name of the podcast was not a bit on that show, you were sorely mistaken.
Because for sure.
Now we're going to introduce what we've named this podcast for.
Yes.
It didn't really make sense to do it for the pilot episode, but this will be in every non-pilot episode going forward, which is a bit we're going to do called Last Time On. Now, Ben and I have not seen Breaking Bad before. So we have no idea what's going on besides things that might have seeped to us through the cultural zeitgeist.
Very, very vague.
Yeah. And so what we will be doing is, while we're talking about the episode, Season 2, Episode 1 in this case, but also all episodes going forward, we're going to say, Last Time On. And then we'll both do a little Wayne's World. And go back in time for a moment where we will pitch what we feel happened last time on this show. The things we're missing. And by the way, just for context, we are skipping all recaps.
Yes.
That's important. We're not cheating. We're not Googling anything. We've got a very strict no Google policy in place. You can Google things completely unrelated to the episode, but you can't Google anything that might give you a spoiler. Those be the rules.
Is very painful for me because I want to look up a bunch of actors on IMDb. It's part of how I watch TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Where have I seen that guy? But I know if I do that, I'm going to end up finding they were in 4 episodes of Breaking Bad. And now I know, okay, maybe they're not a going concern. Or, this random side character is in 26 episodes? I don't want to spoil...
Promoted to main cast.
I don't want to spoil any of my, There will be people who have major runs on this show that we will never see.
Which is actually, we'll talk about it at the end of the episode, but this episode ends on a cliffhanger.
Yes. I've got no idea what's going to happen. And I was actually very hooked and I wanted to watch the next episode.
Yeah, same. You can't. We'll talk about that when we get there, but I'm very much looking forward to that bit of conversation.
Now, Xhafer.
Yes, Ben.
About how we're going to be watching or going through this recap.
Yeah.
My thought of how we were going to do this is we'll talk about what we're seeing in the episode and then just generally talk about how we think we got here. But then we use the what happened here's against each other.
So we'll do.
So there will be general talk.
We'll do the last time ons, right, where we pitch the things that we think happened, and then we'll also do a what happened her, which is offensive.
Okay.
If a last time on is defensive, where I will force you or you will force me once per episode to explain a plot point via things that happened in previous episodes. Completely unscripted.
So we have 2 things going on, last time on, and what?
Yep.
All right. Hopefully that's not too confusing of a gimmick. But hey, we're watching all of Breaking Bad in 7 episodes. So
yeah, we got to do something.
It's expediency. That's the whole point of this project.
Exactly. You don't want to watch all of Breaking Bad, but you want to have an understanding of why people watched it.
Yep.
And we're doing that for you, ish. We are the worst version of Cliff Notes.
Exactly. We are Cliff Notes from your friend who skimmed the clip.
Guess you heard the story? I guess everybody knows by now, huh?
So we open on this episode.
Season 2, Episode 1, 737.
Yes. And we get a bunch of black and
Walter White
slow-mo shots. And we get this kind of menagerie of melancholy.
Yeah.
Because last time on, we missed it, but Werner Herzog actually took over as showrunner. Surprise.
Oh, and I do not have a good Werner Herzog impression.
Go TikTok sad beige boys for sad beige toys for sad beige boys. They do much better than I ever could.
The melancholy, the New Mexico mess dealers, as we want.
Yeah, this theme, we get a Build-A-Bear Two-Face floating in.
Yeah, we see a floating eye, and I'm just... My gut reaction was, I really thought they'd be able to do a better eye, but then we see it's from a pink teddy bear, the only color we see, really pulling a sad New Mexican Schindler's List, which is saying something.
I initially was wondering if, like, these seasons just started in media res, or if this entire show, just every episode started in media res, and that was the thing.
I'm just gonna say it does every single episode.
Okay.
Also,
except this one, because we just get these sad shots with no connection.
Fair enough. I fully expected, as we see the eye floating in the pool, to get the Caddyshack pool drop.
I want the entire pool scrubbed, sterilized, and disinfected.
So we go to theme from this, and we come back to Walt, who got a cool new hat and is making blue meth now, which apparently you do snort.
Yeah, we now have confirmation meth dealers snort meth. I actually wrote that down. Okay, yes, you can snort meth.
Yeah. So he hands Walt a ton of money here.
Yes.
I counted how much money.
How much?
Well, if they're using bank rolls, which is what's expected, that's 1,000 bills.
Mm-hmm.
There's 9 rolls in that bag, and they're all 20s, which adds up to $180,000 in that gallon bag he throws Walt.
Ugh. Oh, God.
In exchange for a gallon bag, which I think Walt says later was 4 pounds of meth.
All right. I feel like they could at least get, like, the money, okay. Put it in a Tupperware or something with a seal lid. Like, you do not want to toss a bag of meth and find out I didn't zippy all the way. Though that would be, last time on, that was a very funny episode where they had to spend 44 minutes just digging crystal meth out of the dust.
Stupid Jesse.
But then we get to, one of, so we have the big drug dealer Tuco. One of his goons breaks the #1 rule of gooning.
Yeah.
You don't say shit. Your job is to stand there and look menacing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say shit.
Yeah. So did you catch Walt has a nickname here? He doesn't get called Walt or Mr. White. He gets called Heisenberg.
Yes.
Do you know like the famous Heisenberg? I didn't check if this is what he was named for, but I have to assume it's for the quantum physicist.
That the Heisenberg compensator is named after in Star Trek.
Yes, and the Heisenberg uncertainty principle from which the Heisenberg compensator in Star Trek compensates for. I thought that was fun.
I assume so. It does. He feels like that kind of nerd.
Yeah. I didn't want to Google it just in case, but I'm pretty sure the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is you can't know something's volume and speed.
You can't know its speed and position.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's why you get the whole bit.
You can get one or the other. Yeah.
In the Futurama episode where they go to a quantum finish and the professor goes, "Oh, you changed the outcome by measuring it."
Yes.
But then we get a methed up drug lord beating the shit out of his.
Yeah. Walt tells him to relax, and Tuco does not relax.
Walt, you've been around meth and meth dealers for
It's
a
true.
season.
And the last time you told someone to relax, you had to kill them in an RV. So
Yes. So my assumption now is every season going forward is going to end with at least 2 dead. It is now our pattern.
Every season premiere, 2 dead goons.
Yep.
So Walt starts to do some napkin math with Jesse on how long it's going to take him to save up enough to provide for his family, which is the titular 737 of the episode.
Haha, you thought it was going to be a plane, suckers?
$737,000. And he's with an income of about $70K a week, which, if the bag was $180, $40K in supplies to make that much meth, 70 each, splitting the remainder.
Yep.
Checks out.
That said, what's Jesse's cut? But also all of this money talk just had me so like, this is all of the money issues he is having is so much more anxiety inducing than the drug dealer problems.
Well, Tuco actually takes issue with that statement.
Yeah.
Because he pulls up to them while they're in the car.
Yes.
Almost crashes into them and demands they perform CPR on his goon who he beat the shit out of. His other goon, Gonzo, stashes the body. And the episode description really makes sense now from this episode, where it's like, we're just not sure if they're going to survive another week of dealing with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's apt. And I'm glad the episode description only gave us the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Right.
I was kind of concerned when I read it that we had spoiled too much already.
Yeah, because as we know from last time on, they've been selling to this guy for a while, and he's getting more and more, and he... at least that is my assumption. But it is also... I don't know at this point, because we don't know how much time has elapsed, how much time Walt is supposed to have left.
Yeah, he gets a diagnosis of 2 years with aggressive chemotherapy.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have any more hair, so maybe he's shaved, maybe he's on an aggressive chemo.
Well, from the next scene, we know he's on aggressive chemo.
I know it's terrifying dealing with a guy like Tuco, but you're dead anyway. If I could make $737,000 in 10 weeks, I'm doing that. What, I've got 5 more months? Okay, whatever.
And that's how Ben became a drug lord.
He goes off the rail and shoots me. I'm dead anyway.
Yeah. Did you see who this episode was directed by?
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, come a long way from Power Rangers.
Yeah. So back at home, Skylar surveys Walt's prescription collection, because last time on, he's finally told her that he has cancer.
Yes, it does seem like she is aware. Can I roll back real quick, though?
Yeah.
So, we get I want to know if you felt any solidarity in this moment, because I know I did. Tuco pulls up, Goon is having a seizure in the process of wresting loose this mortal coil.
Yeah.
And Tuco goes, "You're smart, fix him." And it's just like, I'm a chemist. I'm not a doctor. Also, he's dying. And
yeah,
just being put in that, hey, you're smart. Why don't you just fix said problem? And it's like, I don't know how to fix a lawnmower. What do you want me to do?
This feels like the kind of stupid shit would happen to you if you worked for Elon Musk.
Yeah, like, you're a rocket scientist. Why don't you go develop me a boring machine so I can sell somebody a shittier Subway? This made me think just how shitty it is for everyone in Tuco's orbit, where it's just, I've been around those people where it's, for some reason, they're like an assistant manager or just popular enough where nobody can say, like, man, you're really dumb.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Is it the meth? Is he just an idiot? Is it both?
I'm thinking it's both.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what meth does to your mental state.
Nothing good.
Yeah, like I don't hear any artists getting on meth and making great art. You know, at least with like other drugs. Sometimes it awakens something in the mind. Meth seems to just make you complacent.
So we see that Skylar is still pregnant now. And I misread the countertop at first, and I was like, she's on way too many prenatals. But then I'm like, oh, right, the cancer.
Yeah.
But then we get what I think is a really interesting, like, just jumping from season 1, episode 1 to the now, we see Walt come back, and he is staring hauntedly at the TV, having,
I love this shot.
Oh, it is a great shot.
In fact, I'm going to call it next time on. They're going to reuse this shot in a different context.
All right.
Like the same corner looking at the hallway. Either someone else will be standing there watching TV, possibly wearing the hat because he keeps it right there. Something's going to happen with that, though. It's going to be great.
But we see Walt just staring, like, so disassociated that he can't even hear his wife calling his name.
Yeah, his tinnitus is really acted up.
Because a man just died in my arms. In the pilot, man, you
killed 2 dudes.
Phosphine gassed 2 people and drove around with them sloshing in your RV.
Yep. Which they do bring it up later, too.
Which is why I think last time on, in the intervening episodes, Walt has completely dealt with that. He has so fully come to terms with murdering 2 people that now a new murdered person in front of him sets him, like, he's back at 0.
Yeah, that's fair. Skylar does comment on the new hat, and Ben, I've got to ask you, what happened to her? How did Walt get this hat?
So,
what happened to her?
We know that they're having money issues.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking that Walt went and, like, was searching Amazon.
Okay.
What I'm thinking happened here is in a Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade-esque scenario. During the rest of our season 1 misadventures, they ran into another meth cook.
Okay.
Who they ran into trouble with, and they got another setback, and they got shut down. And the other meth cook was like, "Look, you lost today, kid," and then puts the hat on Bryan Cranston as a buck up. You'll go cook 'em next time.
You'll go cook 'em next time. All right. This hat was like this hat exists outside of the show. Like the image of Bryan Cranston in this hat permeated the cultural zeitgeist.
I am sure I saw this on stickers all over my college's campus.
Yeah. Skylar asks what's wrong. Walt cries, gets a tear boner.
Yes.
Goes for it, and it's just a fucking mess.
So, unlike the first episode, the pilot, where murdering 2 people allows me to finally reinstate my virility, because I didn't kill this guy, it didn't work.
Yeah.
He can only really get it up if he killed them.
Yeah, that's very important for the future of the show. Jesse gets the number 3 special, which is chips, guac, and a gun from the doghouse.
Which you can get in most states in America.
Yeah. I don't know why this was treated like it was such an undercover thing when the gunshoe loophole exists. You can just go and buy guns.
It's true.
It's very easy.
It's not hard. Then
for a lot cheaper. He could have bought a lot more guns.
That's true. Also, we very quickly find out he also should have taken a gun safety course.
Oh, yes. But he didn't shoot himself. I was so ready to score a point. I'm sitting here the whole time. Jesse's going to get shot. Jesse's going to get shot. And he's going to shoot himself. Oh, it's going to be so good. I'm going to get that first point of the series. Not yet.
So now Jesse is freaking out because we saw a methed out insane drug dealer kill a guy. We're now loose ends.
Yep.
And I believe Walt actually has the right side of it, where it's, we are worth so much more alive than we are dead. But they put a pin in murder.
Yep. Put a pin in it for now.
Which, this brings up one of my main issues with this episode. This is the first of 2 tete-a-tetes we see between Jesse and Walt in their kitchen.
Yeah.
When later in this episode it is established, Skylar never leaves the house.
It's Jesse's kitchen.
Oh, it's Jesse's kitchen? It
Yeah.
looks the same.
Sets. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that this show was doing gangbusters at this point.
Okay, so
I don't know what the budget was.
Walt's kitchen. I was like, keep it down, guys.
Walt Jr.'s going to be home any minute.
But Walt does do a great version of the Rocco problem from the Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Of, okay, you've got yourself a revolver. How many shots do you have? How many to kill Tuco? How many to kill Gonzo?
Yeah,
How many to
Gonzo's
kill
the guy.
whatever guys are in the car?
Yeah, they need a plan for what they feel will happen at this point, and they're having a hard time coming up with one, but they do feel the crushing weight of their doom upon them.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
So Walt is working through the mental logistics of killing Tuco. It's revealed he did kill someone last season.
Aside from our 2...
Well, that's actually my question to you, is do you think that is a third person Walt has killed? Or does that counting the 2 guys from the episode?
I'm assuming it's not counting the 2 guys.
Okay.
I think Walt has himself a burgeoning bot.
Okay.
So after this, we cut to, what is Skylar's sister's name?
Marie.
We cut to Marie and Hank's house,
Mm-hmm.
where, based on context clues from the Tumblr, Marie is a radiologist.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
It is from a radiology, and she is putting so much Splenda into this drink, where I'm just like, oh no, that's what happened to Gilda Radner. But it is, Marie is a bitch in the pilot. Here she just seems unhinged.
Yeah, things are not going well. Hank reminds her of her appointment with Dave very ambiguously.
Yes, we do not know exactly what Dave is. Is he
we find out
masseuse?
later.
Yeah.
But
Is he a masseuse? Is he a gigolo?
ooh,
Do Marie and Hank have that kind of relationship?
no kink shame. But Marie does run over the neighbor's RC car.
Which, you're driving it in the road, kid. Like,
Yeah.
you got it come.
Man, you really called this couple last ep, Ben.
Oh, yes. But
Credit where credit is due.
I am,
They are the worst people you know.
they are the worst people I know. Each time I'm just like, the other one's the worst. The other one's like, let me find a new way to be the worst.
Yeah. Hank and Gomez review some CC footage.
Yeah, Gomez, my man, he's still alive. Past the pilot.
He
Was
did.
really worried he was going to be one of those, like, oh, it's just Hank's partner. Like, he is not the same the character in episode 2. And so I'm so excited Gomez is still a going concern.
Yeah, they're reviewing some CC footage, presumably of
Yes.
last time on. A heist early on where Walt was complaining about how heavy that barrel was, and Jesse suggested rolling it, and Walt says they can't because it will mess up the chemical inside.
Yeah.
So they're carrying this barrel, and they're getting made fun of by the cops for not just rolling it. It's all like, oh, you idiots, just roll it. Why are you putting so much work in? And I think there was a story reason for that we just don't get here.
That said, they should have totally had a dolly.
Yeah,
but
for
we
sure.
do see some
Steal a doll.
Yeah. We do see some thermite, which is cool.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Yeah.
And also they make a crack about these guys could barely break into the Special Olympics, which, man, that feels like a good way to get sued by the Special Olympics.
I wouldn't know anything about that, Ben. Walt goes home and drives right past Tuco's SUV.
Except it's not Tuco's SUV. It's a different brand.
Yeah, I thought it was an Escalade before or
It
something.
was,
And
this is a GMC.
Yeah, they're both General Motors and they're both giant black SUVs.
Yes.
But yeah, it starts up when he gets out of his car and drives off.
Backs up over the curb and drives away.
Yep.
Which if I am gooning, if I am putting the eyes on somebody, you know what I just do? Nothing.
Ben, you can't use gooning in that context.
That's what you do.
No, Ben, you probably don't know this, but gooning has a new meaning with the Gen Zers.
What, like it's not like the hockey term anymore?
No, it's actually a euphemism for masturbation now. So you can't say gooning while giving someone the eyes.
Gen Z, what did you do?
Just thought you should be aware.
Oh, man.
I thought it was hilarious because Goon Squad. But
No,
in this particular instance, not okay.
I was just in my Escalade out on the street, gooning, watching people go by.
Oh.
Well, thank you for ruining gooning.
Oh, I didn't ruin it, Ben. I just ruined your usage of it. There's a difference. Anyways, Skylar wakes up to Walt not in bed, and he's out in the living room watching the streets. He puts a kitchen knife away.
He's also clearly exhausted. If only he had something that might have given him that pep he needed to make it through the night.
A little stimulant of some variety.
Yeah.
Walt knows he's been made, and once he's connected to his DEA brother-in-law, he's dead. His family is dead. Everyone is dead.
Right. Also part of this morning, we get another Marie phone call that Skylar just instantly hangs up on, which made me nostalgic for answering machines.
Walt plans on using the favorite weapon of the Centaurum to handle this problem, poison.
And because I have poisoned your drink.
So this moment was another bit of the show that I absolutely connected with. I guess we're back in Jesse's kitchen.
Yeah.
And Jesse is now going, like, I figured out how to open my gun. And I've come up with my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Walt just goes, I've got a better idea. And Jesse just instantly goes, thank God. Which just makes me feel of those moments where you're just like, okay, I think I've got a way to fix this problem. I know it's not the best way, but I also don't know anything better. And then as soon as somebody else goes, I know how to fix this problem, you're just like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We see that Walt is now going to be making a poison out of
Yes.
beans. Bees? Job's not on board. But no, he's going to be making ricin, which, this is another thing where it's just, okay, I understand he's a chemist. How does he know how to make all this stuff?
Well, I mean, some of it makes sense. Like, you would know chemical compounds for things, or you'd be able to do the math when you knew what a chemical compound was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I can't look at a chemical compound and go, oh, well, I need these things, obviously. But
you're also not
I'm not a chemist. Walt is. So, you know, knowing it's not like he has to, like, Google what is thermite, you know, or how to make thermite.
Mm-hmm.
He just has to go, hey, what's the chemical compound of thermite, if he doesn't already know it. But he's probably got it in a book at home.
Yeah.
So he probably isn't having to do a lot of legwork there. I am curious if this is like a poison that comes from beans, if this is something he's just growing.
Yeah, where did he get the beans?
Yeah, this isn't like he made some chemical compound poison. This is he grew these, or someone he knew grew these. He had to get them from somewhere.
That is exactly my point. Xhafer, we'll hop on her.
What the hell happened?
Can't explain. But I got the van.
So when we saw the backyard in the pilot episode, it was dilapidated, right? The pool was maybe a quarter full, was filled with shit. The entire backyard was in disarray. When we see it now, both in our Werner Herzog opening and then also when Walt is out there after his tear boner crying, it's put together.
Is the ultimate expression. Where the tears I'm doing what's up?
It's getting better.
It is. It's improving. Yeah. Keep working on it. But it's much more put together. So my theory here is that Walt has actually started growing this poison. He grew these beans in his backyard. He's got a little veggie garden tucked away somewhere, growing these beans just in case he needed the poison.
In case he needed to make some rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where I started having to wonder, what is everybody doing during the day?
Well, we find out what Skylar's doing during the day. She's very pregnant.
Well, yes, she is very pregnant. But
she does work from home.
Prior to being very pregnant, yeah, all she did was repackage stuff from eBay and then not.
That was a successful business model in the 2000s.
Yeah, she doesn't work on her novel.
No.
But do we think it is the summer, or did Walt quit his job teaching?
I have a feeling that it is summer.
Okay, because Walt Jr. is also not around. So either he's,
but
out
he's
hanging
at
out
friend's
with,
house.
Yeah,
They do establish Walt
for
Jr.'s at a
dinner.
friend's house. No, all day. When Skylar's in the bath,
She
later
says
in the
he
episode,
went over to.
I've had the house to myself all day. He's been over at a friend's house. He's staying for dinner.
But it could also have been, I've had the house to myself all day. He went there after school.
Yeah.
So I am wondering if what is the last time on canonical decision of, has he quit his job yet?
I'm going to go with no.
Okay.
I think he's still, there's too much fun you could have, like, with this being a teacher and having someone buy meth that's at one of your students or something, like getting made. That's got to happen at some point. Maybe it already has, but we won't know. Anyways, Skylar spends her day digging through old photos. This is like scrolling your Facebook memories, looking at photos of you with exes. It is not healthy.
No.
And Hank shows up to talk, and we find out Skylar and Marie are fighting.
Yes.
And he would like Skylar to bury the hatchet. And when we find out why they're fighting, it's because Marie is a shoplifter. And Skylar insists...
Not just a shoplifter, a kleptomaniac.
Yeah, Skylar insists that shoplifting is the worst crime anyone she knows would ever commit.
And everybody else is just like, your brother-in-law is a DEA agent. I'm sure he does, like, casually commits worse crimes.
Yeah, Hank has accidentally killed dudes.
Yeah.
Promise.
Just not Gomez.
We find out Dave is a therapist.
Yeah, kind of bummed out about that one.
Fuck, I'd ask if talking about mental health was this rough in the 2000s. But when my family doctor diagnosed me with depression, it was oh, your aunt has that. Here's a book she read to make it better, and also some Zoloft and some Xanax. But my doctor couldn't even, like, talk to me about taking them or the side effects of them. And that's how I almost, or rather, should have died in college, like, the first dozen times.
Yeah.
So I do know that that's how bad it was.
Yeah,
then.
It was not good.
Yeah.
And then we do get a great moment of Skylar ripping Hank a new one, which I appreciated on the side of, like, there are commonly people who you are always expected to be the bigger person.
Yeah.
And she just starts listing off, I'm 9 months pregnant. My husband has terminal lung cancer. We have no money. Our water heater is still broken from the pilot. And I have to be the bigger person because she can't own up to the fact that she's got kleptomania.
Yeah.
And this just made me so mad because we know Walt has been dealing meth for a while.
He does have some money saved stashed.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
But it is not near, like...
It's not what he wants. It's not to set them up. But it's definitely enough to pay for a hot water heater.
Yeah, that's only a few $100.
I am assuming that Walt's plan here is to just take this to his grave, and then when he dies, it's surprise life insurance money or something.
But you could also have like, slipped an extra, few $100, or just been like, hey, so-and-so at work...
He does not control the finances in the house.
No, but he could have said, so-and-so at work gave me an extra $300 because he knew we needed a new water heater.
Teaching job? No. None of that's plausible, Ben.
I guess we know Bogdan wouldn't have given him any extra money, which I was really hoping they would test out the ricin on Bogdan.
So Skylar, during that breakdown, also mentions Walt's missing time
Yes.
to Hank. That's the second clue Hank has gotten about Walt dealing this episode. And so I have a feeling that's going to be a sooner rather than later plot in this show.
Probably. But then we do get a really unfortunate moment. So Walt comes home. It is late.
Mm-hmm.
He's terrified, thinking people might be in the house. Nobody's answering.
Yeah.
He doesn't lock the door behind him. And that just made me so mad. That said, I didn't, it was probably there in the pilot, but I didn't notice until today. Love that he's wearing a calculator watch. Did make me very, very happy. But then he gets a call from Hank, who's like, hey, really stepped in it with your wife. She's going to be mad. So, giving you a heads up, bro to bro. Also, want to see a cool picture of this murder I'm at? That somehow he's able to notice on his 9-megapixel phone.
Oh, he wishes it was 9 megapixels.
It was a
flip phone.
It was a flip phone from the mid-aughts. And it's
Yeah.
supposed to be, haha, look at this picture of these dead bodies. How funny is this? But Walt is able to recognize it because
He's seen it.
he's been there.
I've been her.
Yeah. So right before this, Walt and Jesse are cooking some special meth with the poison.
Yes.
Well, they cook meth and then they put some poison in with it, and that's how they plan to get Tuco with that. Is be like, oh, here's some special meth just for you, Tuco. New recipe. Let
I
us
did
know.
appreciate Jesse turning the tables, and he was just like, so what's special about it? And Walt's just like, I don't know.
It's drugs. It gets you super high. Whatever.
Just say it's the best meth. And in his defense, Tuco does not seem to be the most deep thinking of drug dealers.
No. But yeah, so he gets the call. Jesse grabs his bug out bag. Walt runs home with the gun, assuming that they're both next. And then this is where we get Walt Jr.'s at his friends and Skylar's in the bubble bath.
Yes.
She asks him where he's been all day. He grabs some hidden cash, stashes it in a diaper box along with the gun. That will come into play later, I'm sure.
Yep.
But probably not for us. Hank knows these goons run with Tuco.
Yep.
And deduces that Gonzo died trying to move the other body, not because Tuco killed him.
Yes, but he deduces that after he talks to Walt.
So Walt gets all up in arms, and then this happens, and it's supposed to be like, oh, maybe Walt's overreacting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we almost immediately get Jesse showing up at the house with Tuco in the back seat.
So he wasn't overreacting.
They drive off to end credits. We're at the cliffhanger, Ben.
Yes, we are.
This is the end of our episode.
I really wanted to watch this next episode.
I really wanted to go back and watch season 1.
Yeah.
But we can't.
Nope.
We have made our bed, and we will be sleeping in it.
Yes. Or Skylar will be sleeping in it while we stand ominously in the living room staring at the window.
But this cliffhanger, knowing that there's no roll, we're rolling 3d4. There is no way to roll a 1. We are not watching the next episode.
Yeah.
Did you find this liberating? Because you know it's going to be either resolved or at the very least this cliffhanger they're not going to be locked in a car with Tuco for 4 episodes.
No.
So knowing that when we move on, when we watch our next episode, this is going to be resolved, and knowing that there's another 60 episodes of this show, well, 50, I found that incredibly liberating. Because knowing and like having accepted that I wasn't going to watch the next one, it was just like, oh, that's a cliffhanger. I was able to just completely live with it.
I was not. So I'm happy for you, man. But I was not.
All right, well, it's time to see how far we're skipping ahead.
Yes.
I got our 3 dice here. Whew, big roll. We're skipping another 8 episodes, Ben.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, you couldn't have rolled a 4 or something.
So we'll be coming back to Season 2, Episode 9.
All right. So before we go into our predictions for this time, do we want to talk about our predictions for last time and see if they're still on the board?
Sure.
Lincoln, what are you doing up there?
Guessing? I guess no one's coming.
I have seen into the future.
You ruined the prophecy.
All right, I've got Jesse's going to get shot.
Still very much on the board.
Walter cheats on his wife.
Possible.
And Walter's cancer diagnosis is incorrect. And he still gets pneumonia or something. He will get lung damage or something from cooking meth. That requires maybe even cancer from the meth, from cooking the meth. But
the initial diagnosis was wrong.
The initial diagnosis is wrong. I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably off the table at this point.
It doesn't look good.
Given how much chemo is going on. But maybe.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Daytime prediction. Skylar never actually writes anything. That seems right on track. We know she was at home all alone by herself all day.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't write anything.
Now, is it too soon to give you the point?
I think it's too soon to give me the point.
Okay, you want to say, like another one? If she makes it to the end of season 2 without having written anything?
I think that's sufficient.
Okay.
My evening prediction, Bogdan gets run over by a car in the car wash and it's a feel-good moment. We don't know. I'm also rooting for the ricin to be tested out on Bogdan. I don't know. I think I might be just something from each episode we watch. I'm hoping that's what gets Bogdan. But we didn't see Bogdan. And then my primetime prediction was Gomez is murdered violently by Hank. Gomez is still in the show. Gomez, my man.
Gomez still might get violently murdered by Hank.
So that is still on the table.
And actually, that ties into my primetime prediction for this time.
Okay, well, go ahead with yours.
So I'll end with that. My daytime prediction is exactly as you called it, Ben. Jesse accidentally spills a bag of meth because it wasn't sealed. That shit's gotta happen if it hasn't already, and so I'm putting it on the board for a point.
All right.
My evening prediction, Marie comes over to visit and steals Walt's hat. And then my primetime prediction is that Hank catches Walt, but Walt cuts him in on the operation.
Oh.
Probably just monetarily, I would assume.
Yes.
But we'll see.
So my daytime prediction, Tuco ends up working for Walt instead of the other way around. My thought is the end of this episode, he's like, both my goons is dead. Something's going on. You seem like you've got your shit together. Like, how about you be in charge? I'll just be the muscle. Like, he's still insane and still a problem, but the power dynamic shifts.
Okay.
My evening, Hank has to choose between Marie's kleptomania and his job. He picks his job.
Ooh.
And then primetime, no one ever actually tries to turn in Walt and Jesse. Every problem is only because of their paranoia and naivete. Like, at the end of the show, they would have completely gotten away with it if it wasn't for them.
That's fun.
Yes.
And so is this, Ben.
Yeah.
So we'll be back next week with Season 2, Episode 9, 4 Days Out.
You might want to write that down.
Thank you to Ripe for letting us use their song and one of Ben and I's absolute favorite songs, Goon Squad, as our theme music. We still don't believe it's real. It's absolutely crazy to us. Thank you so much. Ripe are currently touring until the end of August. You can check them out on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. They're on Bandcamp, just about everywhere. Check them out. Great band. You won't be disappointed. Thank you to Annette Lucina for the wonderful photograph of the TV that we used to create our cover image as well. Thank you for licensing your work under Creative Commons so that artists who are just trying to do their thing, like Ben and I, can use it without having to worry about copyright infringement and all of those things while you still get to protect your art. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Who wants to do meth?
That's the name of this podcast. It is the worst game show from the late 1990s with Regis Philbin.